take the blue pill. The story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill. You stay in Wonderland. And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
So I think there's many ways to answer this question and even ask this question when it comes to the Steam Deck versus the Switch. Like questions like, should you buy a Switch or should you buy a Steam Deck? Or if you already own a Steam Deck, should you sell your Switch? If you own a Steam Deck and a Switch, should you keep the Switch? So, and I mean, the other one is obviously if you own a Switch and a Steam Deck, should you get rid of Steam Deck? But I'm going to be real. I want to talk about this answer. I want to dissect it and maybe give you guys some clarity as to what system is best for you, why it's actually good to have both systems, and really, what are these systems designed for? So my name's Double Pulse. Welcome back to the channel. If you guys are new here, definitely feel free to check out some of the other videos after this and really just relax and just have a good time. But anyway, today, let's get into the question on whether you should buy a Steam Deck or a Switch. And honestly, that question really comes down to your personal preferences, the type of games you like to play, and really how much tinkering you really want to do on this machine. For example, the Steam Deck is a very good system that will probably play most, if not all, of the games that are on PC, as well as the Switch, right? But the only exception to that are probably the Switch's exclusive titles. For example, you're not going to basically be able to legally or right out of the box play Switch games on the Steam Deck. I think it's pretty obvious. You have to get an emulator. You have to look for other type of ways on getting this going. And then even with that, it doesn't necessarily guarantee that the game's going to work as well as it should be. And in that case, that's where the Switch actually succeeds and why it makes sense to own a Switch. And if you already own a Switch, there really isn't any real reason I can see on selling your Switch to get a Steam Deck. Honestly, you just save the money and just buy a Steam Deck. Own both the Switch and the Steam Deck, because what's cool about that is if a game comes out on Switch and it's not a broken mess at launch and it actually works, playing on the Switch. Any game that is that's multi-platform and is very well done and can run on the Steam Deck, buy it on the Steam Deck. Or if you have other platforms, buy it there. Really, I think what it comes down to is it really also comes down to the library that you already have available. Now, I have to talk about a story. A story on, I think, that can apply to a lot of PC gamers, but it applies to me, is at the time that the Switch came out, I was already craving for a handheld that was able to play AAA titles. And basically what happened was I had tried PC gaming for a while, but the problem was that a lot of the PC gaming handhelds were extremely too expensive at the time. I'm talking thousands of dollars. You had the GDP Win, you had all these little handheld devices that are small as a laptop. And the truth is they were not good enough at the time that the Switch had released to really justify actually going out and spending $1,000 to play these games at a subpar experience. So when I bought my Switch, any game that came to the Switch and was a AAA title, I'm talking about like a high quality game that was either ported from last generation or just is a new game that just received the port. For example, let's talk about I'm just going to give an example of certain games that are considered AAA games on the Switch. You have the Skyrims, you have the Witcher 3, you got Dying Light, you got the BioShock collection, you got the Borderlands. You get all these high-quality titles. Hell, there's a whole bunch of titles that came to the Switch. And that's just to name a huge example of them. And then you come to this point where you have all your other indie titles, and you have the Mario, Zelda, Kirby, all these titles. So for those 5 years that you may have owned a Switch, you've probably bought a crap ton of games for it. I'm talking like you have probably have a library that is like 300, 400 games. And chances are, if you weren't already PC gamer and you were a console gamer and or either or, and you wanted to play these games on the go, but you didn't want to spend thousands of dollars on a little gaming PC, buying them on the Switch would be your second best option. So you have about 300, 400 games on your Switch library, and come 2022, 2023, you hear about the Steam Deck, and the Steam Deck's an affordable handheld. It's capable of playing games that are high quality, and you can play them on the go, and now you bought yourself a Steam Deck. And now you are in a decision on whether you want to keep your Steam Deck keep your Switch or get rid of it. And really, the big answer that I would personally say, besides just keeping them both, is understanding the uses between these both systems. See, the Steam Deck's a great system. I love the Steam Deck, but there's certain things that the Switch does still have that I think really outshines the Steam Deck, and it comes down to its physical and even digital footprint. First off, let's talk about the physical footprint. The system of the Switch is a lot smaller and more sleek. The controllers you can pretty much detach and take off. They're little Joy-Cons. You can put it in your bag and put it in a thin case, and the screen looks nice. It doesn't get as hot, and it takes up less space. So that's the physical footprint, right? I mean, just the fact that you can also play games on it and not have to worry about any of the tinkering aspect on it. But we'll get into that here in a second. Let's talk about the digital footprint. The digital footprint is when you download games, you download them, and it is what you get, right? Some of the games are actually less in size because they are compressed to fit on the Switch. Developers have made optimization changes. They made sure the game works on the Switch, at least to the best it can. However, when you buy the game and you download and install it on the Steam Deck, sure, you may be actually in the same boat, and some of the games might be the same size. But most of the time, not only are you dealing with the sizes or patches or updates, you are also dealing with something called the shader cache. Now, you could have a DSD card, and you can use cryo utilities and all of the other stuff, but that does require tinkering or certain settings to make your Steam Deck take up less space, or buy the more expensive unit that has at least 512 gigabytes in the actual system. Then that really won't be an issue. But if you were really just comparing it based off the baseline price of the Steam Deck and the Switch, the systems that, the cheapest you can get, the shader cache is going to be a pretty big deal. And every time you install a game, you're not only eating up space off your SD card, but you're also eating up space off of your internal storage as well. Unless you do the whole cryo utilities thing, which, who knows, maybe I'll do a video talking about that later. But basically, yeah, that's the biggest issue, is that the Steam Deck is definitely made to be tinkered with. That is the biggest deal. And going back to the digital and physical footprints of the system, the physical footprint of the Steam Deck is just a lot larger screen. You can't take the controllers off. It's got a bulky case that comes with it. And for some odd reason, I just don't feel comfortable carrying that thing in my bag half the time, and I'm worried of that breaking more than my Switch, So that's kind of the biggest things that you have to take in mind whether you decide to get your hands on the Steam Deck or the Switch. There's days that I still play my Switch. I take it around in my bag. I don't worry about it. I don't worry about bringing my Steam Deck. And there's days that I bring my Steam Deck. It really just depends on the mood. And having both these consoles or these handhelds and these platforms at hand pretty much opens up the possibilities to play a whole bunch of games on there. Obviously, are the graphics and performance going to be as great as the PS5 or a gaming PC? Of course not. But that's the sacrifice you make, and that's why that both these systems are pretty good to have. Now, basically, that's what it comes down to: is the footprint, the size, and the fact that even in this case, at this very moment, Switch emulation on the Steam Deck does not run perfectly. You're not going to have to, tinker around with settings to make sure that the game is going to work perfectly. At least with the Switch, when you pop it in, you know what you're going to get for the most part. And that's pretty much what it comes down to. So, to come down to it, I kind of have a list of categories on whether you should or should not buy or sell your Steam Deck or Switch. And here's a category that I put myself in, and I think a lot of people should consider. So, if you don't have a Switch already and you buy yourself a Steam Deck, then you really don't necessarily need to buy a Switch unless you like playing Mario. Now, if you own a Switch already and you are looking to buy a Steam Deck and you want to play games that are high quality, keep your Switch and buy a Steam Deck. Now, if you don't have a huge collection already on your Switch and you don't really care about Mario or Zelda or any of those Nintendo IPs, and you have a Steam Deck already, feel free to sell your Switch. If you have the Steam Deck and you really don't have a Switch and you don't care about that, then don't buy a Switch. It really just comes down to personal preferences, what you want, and what you're looking to get out of each of these systems. Because even the user experience from having the actual controllers and taking the system wherever you go and meeting new people on the thing, you're going to have probably a better multiplayer experience with the Switch rather than the Steam Deck, but, to each their own. You can find ways around that. The Steam Deck is such an amazing device if you're willing to get down and actually learn to, quote-unquote, build a relationship with it. As corny as that sounds, it's pretty much like, hey, I'm going to spend some time and actually getting to know you and getting how to use you properly and how to use all your features properly. And basically, yeah, that's what it comes down to, is you have to take your time with the Steam Deck, and you have to be willing to accept the fact that the Steam Deck is a machine that is meant to be experimented with Nintendo Switch. You can't really experiment with it. It's just what it is. It's a gaming console, and that's all it's going to ever be, is a gaming console. At least with the Steam Deck, you are able to use it as a PC. You can video edit it. You can live stream on it. You can pretty much hook up mouse and keyboard to it and play your games as a desktop PC. You can play it in bed. You can play emulated titles on it, like PS2 and all the old school consoles on this thing. There's just the doors are open for many more things for you to discover with the Steam Deck. Anyway, this is pretty much going to be the end of the video. I just wanted to get my thoughts and my opinion as to put this whole debate to rest. I wanted to make a video talking about this as I've received some comments on my videos in the past on whether people should buy the Steam Deck or the Switch, and I hope this video kind of answers that question. If you guys definitely enjoyed the gameplay or enjoyed this video, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel, as I'll be posting more Steam Deck related videos in the future, and maybe even some other stuff if I can get my hands on it. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys later. Goodbye.